Every phone right now is trying to one up the next. More cameras, more features, just more of everything. And then Apple comes along and drops this, the iPhone Air, a phone that literally has less. And somehow, people are actually into it. After living with the iPhone Air for over a week now, I kinda sorta get it. Kinda. But at the same time, I'm not totally sold on it either. So what even is the Air? It's a new form factor for Apple. It's insanely thin, ridiculously light for its size, and just kinda effortless to hold. That's the magic. You gotta hold it for yourself to get it. So is the form factor really that good? Well, if you hold all 3 iPhone models this year, you'll probably realize that the Air is the one that feels the most premium. The thinness gives you that immediate wow factor, and the edges are rounded off so nothing really digs into your hand. Aesthetically, it just has that simple elegance to it. It almost feels like you're holding a thin piece of glass that just happens to be a phone. I've seen a lot of people mention it being barely noticeable in their pocket, but I don't feel the same way. We're talking about a 6.5-inch display. It's a fairly big device that takes up a good amount of space. It doesn't just disappear in your pocket. To me, something like the Z Flip is way more pocket friendly because it's literally half the footprint. Where the weight reduction does make a difference though, is in the hand, especially on my pinky finger. I didn't realize how much pressure was being put on this little guy until I held a heavier phone again. I feel like if phones keep getting heavier, we all might end up with arthritis on our pinkies. But of course, to pull off this design, they had to make some sacrifices. Take a quick look at the spec sheet, and some people would probably call you crazy for even considering a $1,000 phone with specs like this in 2025. Yet, here we are. So are the drawbacks overblown? The truth is, they are and they aren't. So the Air only has a single mono speaker tucked in the earpiece, which is kind of wild for a phone in 2025, right? If you're someone who has earbuds or AirPods on all day, I guess you probably won't care. On its own, it'll get the job done, but it does sound a bit flat and starts to distort if you crank it all the way up. What you're watching also matters. If you're mainly flipping through vertical video and holding your phone like this, sure, it's fine, but the moment you rotate to watch a YouTube video or play a game, having sound only come out of one side is extremely weird and tough to get used to. One thing you won't see on the spec sheet, the haptic engine isn't as strong as other iPhones. Typing feels fine and you'll hear it buzz on a table, but in my pocket, I've missed calls because I couldn't feel it vibrating. If you wear an Apple Watch or rarely have your phone on silent, you'll be fine. But for me, it's been a small annoyance. If you don't take many photos, the single 48 megapixel lens is probably more than fine. It really feels like the definition of a point and shoot camera. No tweaking, no switching lenses. You just whip it out, point, and take the shot. Done. But for me, as a parent who wants to capture everything, I missed having the flexibility of an ultra-wide and better quality zoom. No macro, no 4K 120, no cinematic video. The single camera is very good, I'll give them that. But since switching to the Air, I've noticed I'm just taking fewer pictures overall. The lack of flexibility and lens options has made it not super fun to shoot with, so I just end up not taking as many pictures. Now, if tomorrow Google or Samsung put a 3,149 milliamp hour battery in one of their phones, the internet would roast them to no end. But that's exactly what you get in the iPhone Air. And the truth is, it's been fine for the most part. I've been averaging around 5 to 6 hours of screen on time, and usually end most days with 20 to 25% left. The standby battery is also some of the best I've tested, consistently 1% overnight. Basically, if you're not gaming or doing long video recordings, the battery should last all day. That said, there were a couple of days where I dropped under 20% by 4 p.m. and that lined up with some weird reception issues. My phone showed 2 bars of 5G, but nothing would load. Meanwhile, my husband on the same carrier had no problem right next to me. Turns out, I'm not the only one. Others are reporting similar issues. Hopefully, it's just a software bug Apple can fix because when the phone struggles to connect, the battery drains fast. The bigger question is longevity. In 2 or 3 years, this small battery is going to feel a little rough. And yeah, that's something to think about if you like to keep your phone for a long time. you might end up having to swap out the battery sooner than you'd like. They also launched this 3000 milliamp hour MagSafe battery to go with the Air. It's pricey like all their accessories, but if I'm going away for the weekend or plan to use the camera a lot, I can just slap it on here and it'll give me an extra 65% charge without adding too much bulk. It's definitely not good value, but it is nice. Day-to-day performance has been solid. It runs cool most of the time, but if you start pushing it harder, the top area near the camera gets pretty warm. I measured it hitting 47 degrees Celsius while setting up the phone for the first time, 46 after 30 minutes of 4K recording, and 43 while charging. So yeah, you'll feel it, but the heat's mostly tucked away at the top, so it's not constantly in your hand. Unless you're gaming or filming, in which case, you'll notice it. So who's the Air really for? It's not for everyone, myself included, but if you value aesthetics, want something light, effortless to hold, and just different from the usual vanilla iPhones, this might be the one. That's kind of what the Air is all about. Comfort over features, style over specs. You're paying for this design and that little bit of joy you get from holding it. I know that sounds like crazy talk to some of you, but there's a market for it. The real question is that market big enough for Apple to stay interested? With how good the regular iPhone 17 is this year and the Air being $100 more expensive, it feels like one of the riskiest moves Apple's made in a while. I don't know if it'll pay off, but I do think an iPhone Air 2, maybe with stereo speakers and at least an ultra-wide camera lens, could win over a lot more people. We'll just have to wait and see if that happens or if this ends up being a stepping stone to the iPhone Fold, like a lot of people think it is. Anyways, that's my take on the iPhone Air. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'm out of here. Bye.